Good morning and welcome to Jump's final recruitment discussion of the year. Our Christmas special, we're going to talk about what our Jump's views of 2022 and 2023. We're going to have a very stupid Christmas quiz. So if you want to play along with the Christmas quiz, you play along with that. We'll do that all the way through the process today. But first, as always, we're going to give you some sort of facts about Jump. And these are facts about what we've done this year. So we've presented 48 webinars this year. Sign-ups for the webinars, and that excludes this week. So we're not including this week's here, okay? We have had 2,582 people sign up for the webinars. So if you've signed up for one or three or four, this includes everything, a webinar that you've signed up. So that's 2,582. So from attendance point of view, we've had 1,511 no-shows, and we've had 1,070 people actually attend our webinars, which is a 43% attendance rate, which according to the global recruitment view on webinars, the average attendance rate is 40%. So we're 1% above the average, which is great. Here's another stat. We've had a total of 41,733 minutes watched by our audience live on our webinars. That's 41,703 minutes. We've asked 336 questions. Now, the power of our search engine. We have a YouTube channel which we don't promote. We don't tell many people about our YouTube channel. However, this year, our channel has had a total of 8,527 views of our webinars, with a total of 61,070 minutes viewed. So in total, we have had over 100,000 minutes of views of our webinars, which is just unbelievable, and I can't thank people enough for that. You know, our website's been viewed 3,150 times. We've had 9,928 pages viewed, and that's a total of 5,043 sessions. Our webinar page has had 801 views. So it sort of says we've had a massive year. We've delivered, though, outside of the webinar, a total of, and it's probably going to go, how many sessions have you done this morning, Paul?
Well, back to back about 4 already, I think.
4 this morning. So then that means that our total delivery sessions this year have been 406 sessions to our clients.
That's
just
just
to
me,
say
Howard.
that that's just you. Yes, not quite, Paul. So to say that we've been busy this year would be an understatement and the answer. So I'd like to thank everybody that's attending today. It's been an amazing year for us, and we are so pleased to be part of a great industry. So let's finish off this year. And I think this time we can hear what the team have to say about what's happened this year and insights into the recruitment market. As I say, we're going to show up on the screen some very simple questions of who are these people and who've done this. So these are things that the Jump team have done at some time in their past. Your game is to guess who has done these things from there. So before we kick off, we've got Paul and Heather with us today. Dave, unfortunately, is ill. So, you know, Dave hasn't quite understood the internet yet. He didn't want to pass his lurgy on to us, not realizing that he was on Zoom. But no, Dave's ill today. So we wish Dave well and hope he gets better. So the first question that you've got to answer for yourselves before we go to the Jump team is, who climbed into the Queen concert at Nebworth over a very, very, very high fence and then crashed the backstage party? So write that down. We'll get to the end and we'll tell you at the end who's done that. So here is a question to you, Paul and Heather. What are the most significant changes that you've seen in 2022 with Jump's clients?
Wow, good question. I think we've seen tremendous resilience from our clients, and I think a lot of courage. In every case, with every client I work with, people have really been pushing on this year. Great growth. I mean, the growth has continued beyond 2021. So we came out of COVID, as everybody's aware, and pushed on. And I think this year has continued to show really positive growth at a point. And I mean, it's easy at this moment. We'll talk about this shortly, I think, about views of next year. But, you know, this time last year, we were also saying, oh, don't know what 2022 is going to offer. every one of my clients still took the view, we're going to go for this. We're going to remain very positive. We're going to really push on. And I think without exception, they've all done exceptionally well. We've seen phenomenal growth. And we heard just from the REC a few weeks ago, and I can't remember the exact number, but it was close to 44 billion turnover for the recruitment industry over the last 12 months, a record, and even higher than pre-COVID. I think it's proof that the market has been very positive for the industry, but it's positive for the people that are positive. And certainly, I think when I look at what we've seen this year, was just this push on from the previous year, where people have said, let's keep this growth going, let's be optimistic, let's be courageous. And that's certainly been, I think, reflected in my clients this year.
Heather?
Yeah, I think for me the most significant change was the recovery rate. We've gone from this really bizarre period the year before, and then suddenly, during that period, there were times I thought, are we ever going to be normal again? Is it ever, what's the world going to look like? And actually, for me, the most significant change I've seen is that so fast have we gone back to normal and managed to put that behind us. So that's, for me, it's that resilience, it's that response, yes. It's that ability to kind of go, okay, that's done now, move on, right? Now we're back to normal without being tied into those changes.
I think there's one thing I'd challenge there, Heather, and that's, you are classing recruitment as normal. Just thought I'd throw that.
There's a woman wearing a Santa hat.
Yeah, I just thought I'd throw that in there. I think what I saw as a huge change, and I think it's a change that will carry on, is the change between our clients, where they've looked at their recruitment from a skill, value, and will point of view, and they've changed it to a value, will, and finally a skill point of view, where they've started to realize that they need to retain their staff, and therefore just hiring on skill alone doesn't work, and that you've got to hire on value and will to make sure you get the right people in your business. And I think those companies that have started to really champion that have seen a huge growth. And if you talk about what the clients on the webinar talked about last week, their attrition rate has started to drop hugely. And if we can start to carry on that, and that carries on within the recruitment marketplace, I think that'll be a huge change. And the stat that you were talking about, Paul, about the 42.9 billion revenue that we put into the marketplace, we are now a very serious marketplace, and therefore if we address that, it will be a marketplace that people want to further get into and have a genuine career that that so many people have in recruitment and enjoy hugely. So I think it's a big change and a significant change from there. So here's the next question then. Okay, and this is it'll be a hard one to guess. Okay, so who bruised the arm of one of their managers when they were on an international conference when they went to Stingray City in the Cayman Islands? They got off their boat, and every time a stingray pushed back against their body, unknowingly they gripped their manager's arms while shuddering. The following morning at breakfast, they asked their manager why their arm was so bruised, only to hear, "You did that." So who did that? Who was the person in the sea that is afraid of stingrays, who then gripped their manager's arms ever so tightly, causing their manager to bruise from there? Next question then. So write it down. It will come to the end from there. Who do you think what do you think was the best thing that came out of the recruitment industry in 2022? So let's go to you, Heather, first with your
For me, there's a real HR answer to this. So one of the things that came out of the previous year, the pandemic, was that using Zoom for things like this, the ability to interact online, the ability to work from home, and I saw last year a real strength in acceptance that traditional ways of working are not the new, they're not the new normal. And so for me, one of the real strengths is seeing clients and recruiters saying, let's embrace new ways of working, let's embrace flexibility, remote working, changed hours, new technology, and the fact that we've been able to do that to help us draw people into the workplace that wouldn't have been able to in a traditional, got to be in the office all the time. For me, that's been amazing. You know, as somebody who's been banging on about the benefits of flexible working and remote working and part-time hours, to see so many more clients, I mean, not enough yet, but so many more clients and so many more recruitment businesses embracing new ways of working in the last 12 months and really solidifying and using that to enable people to access the workplace in a way they haven't before.
Yeah, listen, by the way, Heather banging on about something does come as no shock to me personally. I'd say that was
harsh, Paul, harsh.
Completely consistent. Now, I would say I agree with you, Heather, completely. I was about to say something very similar, that, you know, having been in the industry for a huge amount of years now, I think the last year or two, coming out of COVID and this year particularly, have been the years where I've seen the greatest change, not in terms of the way people operate as businesses, their attitudes towards their clients, and of course, as you've just talked about, towards modernization around technology and so forth. I think there's been a sea change in the last few years, whereas people, I think, talked often about AI and so forth. I think we're now seeing organizations truly embracing that. But for me, the biggest change, I would say, the biggest thing that's come out of the industry is related to recruitment, retention, and my position on this is that I think most agencies recognize that trying to recruit people from outside of their business was going to be extremely difficult. Finding good quality people to bring into their companies from competitors has been, I would say, rather challenging. And so there's been a view, I think, and quite correctly, that let's look at who we have already in our organization. How do we develop those people further? How do we get them to step up? How can we give them promotional opportunities? And I refer, I think, to my own clients here, that we've spent a huge amount of effort in learning and development, and in giving people the opportunity to step up and take on senior roles, backing them and supporting them. Because that ability and talent was already very obvious in the business, and those individuals deserve those opportunities, deserve the chance to step up and take on more responsibilities, and had the capabilities and the talent to succeed. But also because it's a question, I think, of recognizing that, you know, you can look at the other side of the fence and say, you know, is the grass greener? But actually the reality is, for the most part, the people you have are the very people that your competitors are also desiring. They would like your guys to go and work for them. So why not embrace what you have, the people you have who are already outstanding individuals, and develop them, give them the chance to grow as you grow. And I think I've seen that going on really with enormous success all year long. And it's given me, and indeed, obviously, the owners of the businesses that I work with, enormous pleasure to see those people really step up and take their opportunities.
I think mine sort of follows the same line in the same vein, and I think it sort of links back to question one, that I think this year, I think we've actually seen recruiters, or should I say the smart recruiters, start to actually grow up and mature as an industry. And I think we've seen the recruitment market actually coming of age, where clients have actually come to us rather than us constantly reaching out to clients. And I think we've started to realize our worth, and those smart recruiters have started to increase their fees based on the quality of the service and the breadth of knowledge of their service that they give. And I started to see we've created deeper relationships with our clients. I think we've started to understand that we can't no longer have the prospect to suspect relationship, and more clients are starting to create genuine prospect to prospect relationships with their clients. And what I've seen, it was interesting last week, even when you start to talk about the building trade, that Jim's in moving away from that traditional bums on seat recruitment, traditional contingency recruitment, moving towards retained talent advisory, and starting to really upskill our recruiters to give our clients a far deeper service than we've ever given before. And I think that's been a real change this year, and it's a marked change. More people talking about that and doing those type of things, rather than just accepting the norm of, you know, I'm happy to get paid nothing until I make a placement. More people now want to get paid and want to give a better service to clients. And I think that's started to really drive through this year. And it'll be interesting to see how that carries on next year, because I think that's all about how you're going to win the hearts and mind of our clients by giving a better service, not by just dropping your pants and dropping your margins, as so many people are doing. So I think it's a real change. And I think those agencies that are embracing that will have a far better and a far stronger 2023 from there. So let's move on from Stingray Alley. Okay, who, while speaking to a very irate client when mobile phone had first come out, thinking the phone had gone dead, said, I think that, and I think there's a very large expletive in the middle of this comment, has hung up, only to hear, no, I have not. So, write your name down. Who's that person? So if you could relive 2022, what would you do differently to ensure 2023 is a success?
Who's first with that one?
You know, I think this is a really, really difficult question, Howard. And even though you tell us the questions in advance, I really struggle. So
don't tell people that. They think this all made off the head.
Yeah, they know. They know. You know, this has been the second full year that Jump's been in existence. And what would I do differently? Nothing. It's been an amazing year. It's been so much fun working with you three guys. And, you know, it's really hard to say, what would you do differently? We've had such fun and we've worked with so many great clients. So maybe mine goes back further and I would have joined earlier and we would have set this business up earlier and we would have all made the decision to start impacting in the recruitment business sooner. But yeah, I really struggle with this question.
Heather, you subscribe to the Groucho Marx feeling that you wouldn't wish to be a member of any club that would have you as a member. That's probably the way you're coming from with that one. I mean, I'm a bit like Heather on this. I really thought hard about this question and what would I do differently. And I'm a bit like Heather. I can't think of too much to say. I think it's been a tremendous year.
Don't believe in regret.
No, exactly. And I'm the same. I don't look over my shoulder and think too often about, I could have done this, I could have done that. I think overall, it's been a tremendous year and my clients have all had a terrific year. No regrets, as you say. Always there are things you think back and think, well, could have changed this, could have changed that. But overall, I mean, extremely positive. I think on a personal note, one thing I've certainly learned this year is that I need to look after my health a little bit better, but that's a different story altogether. And we haven't got time for that one. But I am still alive and kicking despite Howard's description of me trying to join an MRI scanner recently. Thanks, Howard. But overall, no, I don't. I think it's, you know, I think we're well set for next year as in terms of thinking ahead, trying to figure out and we're going to come to this shortly, what the next 6 months is likely to look like. So overall, no, I think I'm on side with Heather. I think it's been great fun, a very positive year, one with lots of happy memories. So yeah, not much that I can think of, frankly.
See, it's very interesting, isn't it? My thought when I wrote the question was you two would come out with some imperatives that we could change, etc., and I would finish off saying, I don't think I'd change very much because it has been such a great year. But you've actually stolen my thunder, and it's one of those sort of questions I can't think of something different because I like going last because I like to think what can I challenge and then look at it as a different sort of point of view. But I think we've had a great year, and I think lots of recruitment agencies have a great year, and I think, you know, what would I do differently? I would say I would have started 2022 in an even more positive mindset and maybe put the foot down on the accelerator even quicker than we did. And we made some mistakes as a business. We changed them, we rectified them quickly and moved on very quickly from there and carried on growing. And I think, you know, what I'd do differently would be I'd be more positive. And this year, you know, everyone's talking about a slightly different market. In my view of entering 2023 to be successful is to be even more positive that there's opportunity everywhere and every corner, and you make what it is what you will. So I think that's where we're going to move to and go from. So what we've got to think about, though, is as a young branch manager who spec'd in a great legal secretary to several legal firms and then in their enthusiasm pitched her to her own boss. Now, I'm sure most of us have done that within recruitment, but someone's going to have to admit to doing that at some point today from there. So let's move on into the next question whilst we start to think about that. So again, write that name down. We'll come to that at the end. So 2023, the year where mindset will be the most powerful tool a recruiter has. What would be your go-to strategy in 2023?
So I'm going to pick up from what you just said before, Howard, about positivity and mindset, because I think one of our biggest learns from 2022 is absolutely that we all should have been more bullish and positive at the outset, right? This has been a fantastic year, and maybe all of us needed to have a bit more confidence in that. And that's difficult when there's a lot of unknowns. But if we take that learning into 2023, there is so much negativity about, and my go-to strategy would be, I'd really encourage everybody who works for me to not listen to the radio or look at social media before they come to work in the morning, so that they start their day in a positive way, because we're being bombarded with all these messages about how awful things are, and they're not. You look at the REC stats about the recruitment industry, you look at all of the latest data that's come out, and you also look at the fact that the latest growth stuff on the British economy says that we grew, and everybody's talking about a recession, but it was only a little bit of growth, but it was a growth, and inflation's stabilizing. And I think we can afford to be more positive about next year than perhaps the media are kind of trying to make us. Yeah, it's going to be challenging, but I think we should go into the year being really bullish, because I still think we've got a year of terrific opportunity with the right mindset in 2023.
Yeah, very well said, Heather. And I couldn't agree more. I think one thing the last few years has taught everybody is that change is a constant. And we've seen an awful lot of change. But as we said earlier, people have emerged from the COVID crisis and have put themselves into a position now, in many instances, where their turnover and their profits are higher than they were pre-COVID. Despite, as you said, all of the bad news, which, by the way, hasn't just been recently. If we think back a year, and we all have kind of short-term memories, there was equal measures of bad news at the back end of last year as well. It was gloom and doom. I think that next year is, and when we talk next year, we're talking a few weeks away. It's not as if it's miles away.
How did that happen?
How did that happen? I know, but I do genuinely think that there's every reason to be very optimistic. This is, our industry isn't going through a classic recession period. I've worked through various recessions in the past where we've witnessed, huge numbers of redundancies occurring in our clients, and various other signs. These signs are still not there in our industry sector. We heard that from the REC. The unemployment rate at worst, I believe they're talking around under 5%, which, as we heard a few weeks ago, is still extremely low.
And with the number of vacancies, it's actually helpful because it gives us some candidates.
Completely. I mean, I think I haven't seen the recent number in the last few weeks, but it was somewhere in the order of 1.3 million vacancies. Record low unemployment levels. This is not a classic recessive market, and our clients are still shouting at us to find them staff. The big issue next year, of course, as it is this year, will be candidate shortages. We're already learning how to deal with that. Back to the whole area of AI and software and being clever of our own databases and so forth. But overall, I think the thing that we've all learned about positive attitude is that you should embrace change, grip it, enjoy it. It is, as they say, the cliche, a roller coaster of emotions, but you may as well grasp it and enjoy the moments, because there's no point in worrying about it. I read, and I've said this before, if there are things you can control, then there's no point in worrying about them because you can control them. And if there are things outside of your control, well, there's not much point in worrying about those things either because you can't control them. So, the bottom line is just grip it, enjoy it. We've been through worse. I don't think there could be much worse than the COVID crisis. And we survived that and did extremely well, come out very strong. And there is every reason, if you continue to grip a positive attitude, to believe that 2023 will be another very good year for us. By the way, I think a lot of the pundits are talking about this being a pretty shallow recession, quite quick climb back, So let's see what happens. But at the end of the day, it's outside of our control. Let's worry more about, as it were, what we can control, get our arms around that, look after our people, continue to train them, support them, look after our clients and candidates, provide world-class service. And if we do that, we've got nothing to be concerned about whatsoever.
I think what you're saying, both you're saying is I completely echo. I think 2023 is the year of opportunity. I think it's a huge year of opportunity. But as I said before, I think this is the year where your mindset will determine your outcome. Yeah. So, unlike other economic downturns, I think this is one where the opportunities will be huge. But you still have to go and look for them. You still have to go and take them and stuff like that. And I think this is where the economic cycles start to really push. And this is where recruitment starts to think about what we're doing. And I think, those in those uber niche markets will benefit because you'll be able to recycle your candidates quicker, faster, and use them more often, which will help you grow. I think this is a period where clients who treat their staff poorly will become the dogs of recruitment. And therefore, what we'll do is we'll create big portfolio of dogs, and this is where we'll start to hunt good candidates from, and we'll start to really hunt out of those clients, and clients who continue to treat their employees like that will become a true hunting ground for recruiters, because I think the smart recruiters will stop dealing with them unless they change. And I truly think that, my view is that there's a new wave coming in recruitment where recruitment agency owners have two choices. You can sit on the beach and wait for the wave, or you can swim out into the deep water, catch the wave, and celebrate when you hit the beach and wash your competition away. Because I do think there's going to be a huge change in recruitment, and we should be walking away from clients that do not treat recruiters well, do not treat their staff well, and start to use them as opportunity to create, opportunity for your business. Everyone's talking about staff shortages, but nobody's really talking about sacking and getting rid of clients that aren't particularly a great use to you, treat you poorly, and then using those candidates that are in those client bases as an opportunity for you to grow your candidate base and really drive your candidate base. And I think this is the year where we can do that, and we start to work with truly good clients. So to me, this is all about opportunity, and it's all about taking that opportunity and being brave enough to do those type of things. We've talked about during other recessions where we talk about at the beginning of lockdown, we talked about getting rid of, poor consultants who held your company to ransom, who were the terrorists inside your business. Well, you've got clients inside your business who are also terrorists and sort of destroying your business. And I think this is the opportunity where we can start to change that. But you've got to be brave, and you've got to put your big shoes on to go out there and stomp your feet and do the right things. And I think it's all about the opportunity. Big girl pants,
Howard, and you stopped yourself.
I did there. I did. Yeah, I did.
Well done.
I did, because I'm sat in mine. They're just a little bit snug at the moment, so I need to lose a few pounds. So yeah, I did. So I do think it's a year of opportunity, whatever anybody's saying. So I think all of us have got to start to sort of look at that and live by that comment. Otherwise, it's not going to be. You're a view of what you think, aren't you? You're a process of what you're thinking at the time. So think positive and work from there. So here's another question then. So who, when booking into a hotel, only to find a dog in their room? So who booked into a hotel, and that was generally booked into a hotel, went up to the room, opened the door, and they found a dog in their room? Bizarre. Could only happen to someone from Jump. Okay, next question. And this is the big thing that I'm getting asked at the moment an awful lot, is how do you see the first 6 months panning out?
Great question. I think everyone that's listening to this will have a similar view. I think, although we've quite correctly said, let's not pay too much attention to all the negative news in the media. At the same time, we have to acknowledge that the first 3 or 4 months, particularly next year, is likely to see a continuing level of candidate shortage. We've talked a lot about how important it is to make sure that we're engaging with our candidate database on our CRMs, and how we have to be really smart around marketing. And I think it's also very clearly about making sure that we're super tight to clients. And again, to use Heather's expression, I've just seen Heather's comment on the chat box. It's difficult to to focus when you see them. But I think
Focus, Paul.
I'm trying. I'm trying. It's not easy. I think, we've been banging on, to use Heather's expression, about this for a long time. You've got to be super, super tight to your clients because, although we're saying we're going to keep and we are focus and be very positive, there's no doubt that some of our clients are likely to be feeling slightly anxious about the next 3-4 months, particularly, and being close to them, understanding their views, their thoughts, their anxieties, or even if we're being very positive, their attitudes towards change and their attitudes towards growth is extremely important. So, for me, it is. I could say that what I've just said, what I've said at the beginning of every year: be super tight to clients, look after your candidates, make sure you're smart about finding good quality people, and then take those candidates to market. Because I do say that every year, but I think this year particularly, it's something we've got to be on the front foot about. And I just one final point on that. So many of our consultants have grown up in a market, and it's still the case, where they're swamped, drowning in vacancies. And I've been saying for such a long time now that this kind of recessive market that we're in requires us to take candidates to market. When you find good quality candidates, don't wait for jobs to come in for them. You really have to be on your toes and find great people, great jobs, and not worry as much about filling vacancies. It's all about taking great candidates to market. And our people often haven't had that experience, so they need a lot of development and training to get them to switch their mindsets.
Yeah, I think we've got an interesting 6 months to come. I think, I think there's going to be a lot of noise out there. I think the noise is going to continue. But as Paul says, you've got to keep close to your own data and your own business. So, keep really good channels of communication open with your own teams, with your clients, with your candidates. Listen hard to what the market is telling you directly using the data that you've got, not to the noise that you're hearing. So be very close, be talking to your clients, getting out there, getting your team talking to clients and sharing what they're hearing, and generate your own mood for what's going on. Because I think that there's going to be a lot of misunderstanding, and I think there's going to be a lot of noise in the media. I think it was Dawn who talked about media propaganda. There is, and we've got to shut it out. And the only way to shut it out is to have real data from our clients and our candidates and our market about what's going on, to shut out the noise that we're going to hear. Because I think it's going to be a noisy 6 months politically as well, because we've got a lot of strikes going on, we've still got a lot of politics happening. So I would be very close, as Paul says, to my own clients, candidates and staff.
It's interesting. I think when I looked at this, I just put strategy into my head, and it's not all about the recruitment agency strategy. And I think it's about how we sort of look at that and we plan for the next 6 months. And I think, first strategy is, strategy one is, do you know what your client strategy is? As a recruitment agencies, do we know what they're looking to recruit? And when they're looking to recruit, we should stop waiting for clients to tell us when they need something. We need to find out earlier, and we need to start to build a strategy so we can start to build talent pools so we can service their needs quicker. So I think we need to understand what our client strategy is. I think more now than ever before, strategy two is you need a new business development strategy. And I think, the first 6 months of this year is going to be absolutely out there about developing a new business strategy. And this isn't about what people now think is their new business development strategy. Let's just get a marketing strategy and send an email out and hope that works. This is about a strategy connecting to your people, your clients, and looking to build on your best clients and looking to replace the clients that we think will fall by the wayside. And it's having that strategy now and developing that rather than waiting for it to happen when actually some of those clients suddenly do go under, if they do go under. So I think there's an opportunity there to actually start to rebuild a new client base rather than just relying on your existing client base. So if you exist on that client base, it will potentially grow, it will potentially shrink, but if you start adding new clients, it will definitely grow. And I think we've got to do that. I think as what Paul said there, strategy three to me is candidate acquisition strategy. Is your candidate acquisition strategy fit for purpose? So let's talk. And again, I think we talk about this candidate shortage. Okay, there's the same number of candidates in the market, give or take a couple of thousand-ish, than there were 12 months ago and 18 months ago. But there's a massive shortage of them. But when we start to look at what we've got in our database, and I've had this conversation with so many clients, how many candidates have you got on your database? How many candidates do you know are actually looking for work on your database? And the answer is usually, I don't know, because we're not speaking to our candidates enough that we have procured already. So I think, one of the strategies should be, let's harvest your CRM properly rather than just skimming off the top of it. And the more we harvest it, the more we'll get from that. The more candidates that you need or you put on your CRM, and the more you nurture them on your CRM, the more they will come back to you. So to me, they're the priorities that I'd look at. Know what your clients are doing, have a new business strategy, and start to mine the data on your candidates within your CRM, because there's so many candidates out there that you probably haven't talked to for, a year, 18 months, etc., that are now looking for jobs or potentially looking for jobs, and yet we're investing so much on going out and trying to find new candidates when they're already sat there on our database. So I think there's a lot to sort of learn from there and sort of dig up from there. So next fact. Okay, so who got smuggled into an Elkie Brooks concert in the back of a St. John's ambulance? I think the bigger question was, what were you doing in a St. John's ambulance in the first place? But no, who got smuggled into an Elkie Brooks concert in the back of a St. John's ambulance? So last question then. If you could give one piece of advice, considering all the things that we've heard this year, what would it be to ensure 2023 is a success?
For me, this is the one you're going to go first. You're going to go first.
Do you want to go?
Is it a HR answer, Heather? Is it a HR answer?
It is an HR answer, yeah.
Go.
This is a people business.
Yeah.
Focus on your people. Keep them close. Develop them. Invest in them. Share your strategy with them. Communicate with them. Listen to them. Your people are the key to your success next year. And so for me, it would be really focused on your people strategy, the development of your team. They are your key to success.
I think that's an absolute valid point. That this to me is all about inspiring positive leadership. This is about going into the new year with a very upbeat and positive attitude, and the very same attitudes that I remarked about that leaders that we work with adopted at the beginning of this year. I think it's all about the same attitude, that can-do spirit, imbuing people around you with that sense that whatever the world brings in our direction, we have the ability and talent to take advantage of the opportunities that are going to come in our direction. You have to remember, our industry's been around for 150 years. I may be wrong, but I can remember in the old days when I started working for the Alfred Marks Bureau in the 70s, looking at sepia photographs of their early days, supplying upstairs, downstairs staff, as I'd make reference to them, back in the back end of the 19th century. And so we've been around as an industry a huge amount of time, through world wars and countless recessions, depressions, and so forth. And we're still here recording as an industry the highest level of turnover that we've ever recorded. And history tells you that no matter what comes in our direction, we have the fortitude and ability to get beyond those obstacles and challenges and continue to move further forward. And I think we've every reason to be optimistic. And when I look around and talk to the people that I work alongside, I have enormous confidence in their abilities to continue to develop their businesses through that inspiring leadership and inspire others around them. So that would be my view. Let's get into next year fighting fit, get those boxing gloves back on again after the new year, and let's get back out there and go again.
So I think for me, it echoes what we said all the way through. And I think it's about, for business leaders, about believing in yourself. And I think as a business leader, you've got to look outside the window and look for the opportunities that are staring you in the face and work your plan. And if your plan starts to go wrong, I think that you stop looking out the window and you look in the mirror, because you are the cure to the problem. And if you start to cure the problem and stop blaming the people, back to Heather's point, then we start to get a far better outcome. and it's start to look at the problems first rather than blaming the people first, cure the problem and let the people get on with it. And sometimes it is about getting out of those people's way to allow them to actually create and get on. So I think, to me, from a business owner, it's, make yourself invaluable to your business by making yourself almost redundant from the business, and let your good people really move forward. That would be my true advice from there. So last comment, and then we're going to go through these and have a look at the question and the answers. So, who, while on holiday, went for a beach run only to run across a German nudist beach and was rudely shouted at by the nudists? On the return leg, stripped naked and ran back across the beach singing Rule Britannia, swinging their pants around their head. So, we have some very interesting comments coming out from there. So, let's just go quickly back over them so we know exactly what we've got from there. So, who climbed into a Queen concert at Nebworth over a very high fence and then crashed the backstage party? So that's your number one question. Who bruised the arm of one of their managers when they were on an international conference when they went to Stingray City in the Cayman Islands? Basically got off the boat, and every time a stingray brushed past them, they grabbed their manager, squeezing them tightly. Then the following morning asked the manager why their arms were so bruised, only to hear the reply, "You did that." Who, while speaking to a very irate client, went when mobiles had first come out, thinking the phone had gone dead, said, "I think that expletive has hung up," only to hear, "No, I have not." As a young branch manager who spec'd in a great legal secretary to several legal firms, and in their enthusiasm pitched this candidate to their own firm. Who booked into a hotel only to find a dog in their room. Who, Pearl's a singer, Kaz, you've got to remember Pearl's a singer. Who got smuggled into an Elkie Brooks concert in the back of a St. John's ambulance? And who, whilst on holiday, went for a beach run only to run across a German nudist beach and was rudely shouted at, and on the return leg, stripped naked, ran across the beach singing Rule Britannia with their pants hanging around their head. So, question one, answer one. Who jumped into the Queen concert over a very high fence? If you put your answers up, let's have a look at what people are putting down as answers. It'd be interesting to see what people are actually answering on this. So, who've got number one? Who have we got for number one?
Are we owning up or are we waiting for?
No, we're waiting. Paul, Dave. Oh, Nicola had it's gone. Dave. Any advances on Paul and Dave? Come on, there's 20 odd people on this webinar. We should all have more answers than two people answering. There's more than two people playing the quiz, surely. Okay, Dave. Oh, Dave. Dave's dead. I really want it to be Paul, said Abby. Heather. Oh, from Joja Howe. Oh, so let's reveal the first one. The first one was actually, in fact, it was Heather.
It had to be Heather.
It was me, and they were playing Radio Gaga, and the audience were doing that.
So there's someone up in the answered in the question box as well from there. Oh, so Paul got most votes on that from there. Okay, and I've forgotten what the second question was. What was the second question, guys?
Stingray, I think.
Stingray City.
Yes. So who was the person in Stingray City that bruised their manager's arm? So again, just fire them out on there. Oh, Claire's gone with Howard straight away.
Oh, Howard.
Dawn Bannister's gone with Howard. Dave. Oh, we've got a little Paul from Nicola Harding. Any advances on that? Any advance? So the answer actually is Mr. Paul Jacobs.
It's me, I'm afraid.
Mr. Paul Jacobs grabbed his manager's arm, and she was not very impressed by it.
She had terrible bruises on her arm at breakfast.
Terrible bruises on her arm. Oh, a late vote there by Annette on Heather. Okay, yes, so that was Mr. Paul Jacobs.
Wasn't Joe Long, no. That wasn't Abby.
So, who, while speaking to a very irate on the client on the phone when mobiles first came out, said, "I think this very big expletive came out, has hung up, only to hear, no, I haven't."
Honestly, this could have been.
It's going to be Howard.
Paul, Dave.
Hello, Paul. In a way.
Yes, I'm afraid to tell you, it was me.
Of course
Yes.
it was you.
I generally thought the phone had gone dead. You know, he was a very rude man. He'd been extremely rude about me and the candidate. And I generally thought he'd gone dead to only hear this out the deadly quiet. No, I am still here. Can I speak to your manager? Of course you can.
It had to be Howard.
So, what was the next one? The next one, I believe, was who spec'd in a very good legal secretary, Annette Thorpe. You need to get this one right. Who spec'd in a legal secretary to many a client, only to find out that he then pitched this person to her own clients.
Everyone's got the same suggestion.
Yes.
Oh no, Claire Wilson's gone Dave. But everyone else has gone Paul, and we are correct. It is Paul.
It was me.
I think everyone's done it.
I remember the guy saying to me,
that.
"What's the name of this person?" And I said, realizing at that moment it was his very own secretary. I had to phone her and just put my hands up and say, "Look, I've just done something so awful."
We've all done it, Paul. We've all done it.
I've just signed your death warrant from there. So that was Paul. So, who booked themselves in a hotel, so only when they got to the room, found their room was being occupied by a dog? Heather, Howard. Oh, Heather. So we've got a big run on Heather here. Jojo Holt. I think Jojo Holt's going, you know, he's going on everybody's Jojo Holt. So the answer actually is, it is Dave.
It was Dave, yeah.
It was Dave Pye. You know, he admitted that he'd found a dog in a hotel.
Opened the room, there was a dog on the bed.
There. Wasn't even owned by the hotel. It wasn't even the hotel dog. It was someone had genuinely left their dog there, which is quite disturbing from there. Quite shocking. Okay. Brilliant. Kaz, you need to get this one right because you didn't know who Pearl the Singer was, but there you go. So who? And I need to find out the absolute who got sneaked into a Elkie Brooks concert in the back of a St. John's ambulance. So Paul, we got Heather. Heather.
It's got Heather written all over it.
It has got Heather written all over it, and it is right. It is Heather.
It was me. I was 17. It was in 1980. Elkie Brooks was playing with the Beach Boys, Mike Oldfield and Santana.
Wow.
Concert.
And I was 17, couldn't afford tickets. And my best friend's mum was in charge of a whole fleet of St. John's ambulances. So she got one of the drivers to smuggle us in the back of his ambulance and let us out in the crowd. She was a very cool mum. So great concert.
Absolutely brilliant concert.
Brilliant. And last but not least, who whilst on holiday went for a beach run, only to run across a German nudist beach and was vilely abused by the nudists on the beach. Only to return on the return leg stripped bare and run across the beach singing Rule Britannia, swinging his pants by his head.
Claire, it can't be me, surely.
Can I just say thank you to everybody who has not said that was me?
It's got to be Howard.
So we've got votes for Dave, Paul, Abby Howard. Anyone else? Any advances on there? No, we'll leave it there. Okay, we'll leave it there. No, actually, yes, that was me.
Of course, it was Howard.
I've got a bit like the Marilyn Monroe comment. I wasn't naked. I did have some aftershave on. No, I did have my running shoes on, so I wasn't completely naked. But it was very bizarre. I ran across this beach. It was only about 100 meters long.
We don't want him to demo it.
And I got massive abuse from them. Yeah. It was I can't remember who sang the song. They called him the Flash. It'll come to me by the end of the night. Wait, well, but there you go. So that's it. That's the end of our Christmas special. We'd like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. But most of all, we'd like to thank you for your attendance this year and thank you for your input. You've helped Jump grow massively. We hugely enjoy doing these webinars. And sometimes, the back end, it's quite frustrating for us trying to get people onto the webinars, as in the Jump team onto the webinar, because we're busy doing lots and lots of different things, etc. But the fact, and it was a shock when I found out, when I sort of started to look at the stats, that we've had over 100,000 minutes of people viewing our webinar is just incredible. And we can only say thank you. We can't say thank you enough, really, for it. So we'd like to wish you all a super, super Christmas and a very, very Merry New Year, and the most prosperous time in the new year with a really positive growth mindset. Paul, Heather, anything you want to add?
Just to wish everybody that's, as you've just said very well, Howard, to wish everyone a very healthy and happy Christmas and have a wonderful break. And before we blink, we'll be back. So have a good time, everybody. Enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you in the new year.
So same from me. Thanks to everybody for joining our webinars every week. As Howard says, we love doing them. They're great fun, and we really appreciate those people who take the time to listen to us. We love sharing. Thank you.
So we will be back in the new year. We'll be back in the second week of January with a whole new list of things. We'll have a whole new list of questions. If there's anything that you want us to look at, investigate, or talk about, then drop me an email and I'll try pen those in, because one of my jobs to do between now and Christmas is to write the whole list of webinars for next year's, which is utter joy. Okay, so any help that you can give me will be much appreciated. And that all I should say is thank you very much, and we'll see you all next year.
See you, everybody.
Bye.
Take good care.
Dave,
Bye.
Bye.